I love to live in space in between. It's when you are leaving old habits and we are completely open to destiny. I came to Brazil to look for places of power and for the people who have certain energy. Parallel realities, incorporations, entities. Brazil is so full of this kind of stuff. It's very strange. This is why I'm here, waiting to start my mission. I'm experiencing so many different emotions. There's so much pain. How I can help raising consciousness through art. Emotions arise in me when I feel my heart is opening, and it's so painful. When you have faith, there is no pain.
So I'm here with Marco, the director of The Space in Between, Marina Abramovic in Brazil. First and foremost, Marco, welcome to London.
Thank you.
And the 60th BFI Festival. How does it feel to be here and to put your film here on the BFI?
Oh, it's a great pleasure. 2 years ago, I've been here to see Marina's performance at the Serpentine Gallery, 512 hours. And one day I was wandering walking on South Bank, and I went to BFI and said, "Oh, this is such a great place. It would be so good to show the movie here." And so here we are. It's really nice.
Fantastic. Well, when I first saw the title of the movie, I thought there's so many elements that would intrigue an audience. So first and foremost, Marina Abramovic and the very famous, and esteemed artist that she is. Secondly, Brazil. Everyone's got intrigue and curiosity for that country. And thirdly, this title, The Space in Between, and there's so many interpretations you can take from that. Now, you as a director, what first intrigued you when you approached to do this project?
The first thing was that I really believed that there was a strong connection between rituals and performance. That the place, the inner state that Marina puts herself to perform was very close to the place that a medium, a shaman, or a healer must achieve to do the practice. And also we have elements that appear in both practices. You have repetition, you have long durational performance in both, in rituals and artistic performance. And it also involves creating an ambience to allow this work to happen. You know, sometimes it may look like a little bit theatrical, and also performance may look a little bit theatrical, because in fact they deal with trying to take us away from our daily life.
Yeah, absolutely. So in another way, would you say that you being originally from Brazil, and knowing that culture and knowing that within our tradition there are a lot of those rituals, and seeing Marina, someone who had experienced Brazil but not necessarily being from there, those cultures coming together and yet there being so much similarity, as you said, within her performance and within the rituals performed in Brazil, that was sort of a center point that you were keen to explore more.
Yeah, that was totally my goal was to try to trace a parallel between Marina's works and the rituals she's been through. And we start the movie with John of God, that is this medium that he performs operations, surgeries without anesthetics. And it has a close relation with Marina's first works, where she cut it herself. And also, it has a architectural a concept of space that is related to the artist's present. Where you have this guy, John of God, that is seated in this chair, and there's this huge line of people that just wait to stand in front of him for brief moments. And somehow it had a connection with the structure of artists present.
Yeah.
And through all the rituals, it was possible to establish those connections. Although they are not clear in the movie, we didn't want to make this explicit to the audience. But there are a lot of connections that I wanted the audience to make. I didn't want to input them. And there are many ways to approach the whole trip. I think the film works for those who doesn't know Marina's work, her whole career, and for those who really study and follow Marina for long years, I think they can make a lot of connections.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to John of God, he was introduced quite initially into the film, and as you see those quite strong scenes, you could say, of the open surgeries. There's a message behind that, and putting those scenes within, so, you know, structuring them in the initial phases of the film, in a way to get into the message, as you say, not explicitly to Marina's message, which is physical pain is very different to emotional pain, and sort of introducing that to the audience and showing that in a more, I guess, symbolic way, and saying, you know, this isn't going to be for the faint-hearted, but this is a message we're trying to get to. You can separate what you're seeing from what you're feeling, perhaps, whilst watching this.
I think John of God was a way of establishing a statement that, okay, prepare yourself, because first, when we talk about spirituality, many people connect with angels and someone with a smooth voice saying, "Now relax," and in fact, spirituality is hardcore. It's brutal. It's brutal because you're dealing with your shadows, with bringing light to your shadows, and this is not an easy process. And I wanted to establish in the beginning that this would be a very tough journey.
You established that for me, definitely. So within, obviously, these very complex themes and concepts that the film deal with, ultimately, I felt as an audience member very, I would say, very touched by, in the root of those complex message, very simple, I would say, lessons or something like that. For example, when I believe there was Dorothy Cook, Donna Flor, Filhinha, they all spoke. I mean, I broke down when Filhinha spoke, because she spoke of very simple things of love, that ultimately everyone is searching for an answer, of friends. So would you agree with that within this very complex, and even Marina herself, I felt, was getting to a very simple aim and very simple message to the audience?
Yeah, it's funny because Yogananda, that was this Indian, not guru, but he was a wise man. He used to say, "What's the meaning of life?" and all these things. They are really simple messages, but very hard to achieve. Because we make a mess in our way to try to reach it. And I also, during the trip, the journey, I realized that Marina was somehow trying to find out models and role models in those elder
Yeah,
women
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
that were really wise women.
Yes.
And you know, my filhinha was 100 and something.
Yes. Yeah, it was incredible.
A woman who lived a lot and had things to say. So this came out naturally.
Yes.
Those things. It's not that we wanted to pass a message, but it was the result of those encounters.
Yes.
You know, I think documentary is the art of the encounter.
Yes.
And for that happen, you must be open.
Yes.
Open-minded,
absolutely.
open-hearted. And when you ask about emotional pain and physical pain, there was also a challenge to build a story that was happening inside Marina.
Yes.
That we couldn't see, because while she was passing through the rituals, a lot of things were going inside of her. And that's why in the first day we established that we would shot Marina at the end of the day after she passes through all the spirits of the day. She would sit in her bed, close her eyes, and she would relate to the camera, or would tell to the camera everything she reminded that happened
Yes.
during the experience and the current or whatever. And this was a device we used to achieve. I wanted the film to be a journal, a traveling journal, you know, and I wanted that Marina guided us
Yes.
through the whole process, because it's her trip,
Yes.
it's her process, and I wanted her to take the audience by the hand. But at some point, you can't control the narrative and also take part in rituals.
Yes.
So there are moments in the film, mainly in Curitiba, when you don't hear Marina's voice.
Yes.
Because I think that's the moment when the audience is with her,
Yes. Yeah.
living the experience.
Absolutely, and I think you can see that in the film with her guiding us through. For example, the scene where I think you were just filming on the street and she said, "What's that trumpet sound?" and kind of led us there. And but she was guiding that because she found it such a beautiful sound. And ultimately, when you just paused the camera and it was that static shot, we could appreciate, you know, that song. And so, absolutely,
And this specific shot was so out of the blue, because there was a beautiful light. I was with the camera in this specific scene, and I was shooting her, and then she came, as you see in the film, she came to the camera. I asked for the sound guy. The sound guy, he looked at me, and I say, go with her. And then I shot. Waited them to get a little far in the framing, and then I cut the scene and went running after them to try to find another framing, and then run into the bar to. But what is really amazing is that in the middle of this tiny city, the guy was playing a song by Tom Jobim.
Yeah.
And somehow it was like a meeting, an encounter between these two great artists.
Yes.
And it was like Marina was reaching in the heart of Brazil, because Tom Jobim's music is really, says something about who we Brazilian are.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And I love that scene because she didn't know at all that was the song, but I think at the end the crew or yourself told her, and then but as you said, it's incredible how an artist can appreciate an artist, and it was that meeting where she didn't even know it was that, but she went from afar, she could hear it was something great and what it meant to us.
Yeah. It was really touching, a really touching moment for us to shoot it, and I think it works on the screen for the audience also. It's good to know.
So in terms of the cinematography of the film, you had these sort of panoramic static shots of absolutely stunning shots that kind of, whenever they came on, like, hit me, like took the audience's breath away. And alongside that, you had the more sort of gritty realism of like you say, like the documentary style. What was your sort of intention of mixing those more stylized shots that are perhaps very classic Abramovich with this documentary style?
Again, I wanted this to be more than, I was not worried if I was doing a documentary. I was worried if to register an experience. And I wanted the movie to be an experience. I wanted the movie to work in the physical level, in the emotional level, in the mental level, and the spiritual level. Whatever you believe it or not.
Yes.
If you think everything is bullshit, no, don't, okay, at least you'll see beautiful images.
Yeah, you can appreciate it visually.
Everything is silly, this is stupid, but there are nice images.
Yeah.
And, but I wanted the movie to be unpredictable in a certain way, that you couldn't guess, because some movies the structure, this
what's
will happen,
coming.
and
You're right, it would catch you.
And I wanted to maintain a certain instability in the narrative. So the sequences, each sequence has a specific identity. The onion sequence is also it's like an infomercial.
Yes, for
onion and garlic. That doesn't go so well. And for those very... I've been working with documentaries about contemporary artists for 16 years. And I always try to... let's say empower. It's not. I don't think it's a good word, but it's the one that comes down. But the language, I try to make it clearer. The language of the artist.
Yes.
Okay, to the audience, and Marina during the trip she made some pictures that became artworks, and for those pictures we also did the shooting of them during long time. Marina in places that she called places of power.
Yes.
And other things that are inside the cave. When we went to shoot the cave, I told her, Marina, this is the beginning of the movie. You go, we have the frame just with the cave, you enter and you vanish in the darkness.
Yeah.
And this is the beginning of the journey. Right there, I was pretty sure that we had an image. And I also believe that, I love tarot, the cards, because each card synthesizes a specific concept, or and I wanted some scenes to resemble tarot cards.
Yeah.
Like you have the beginning of the journey,
Yes.
and this is a journey that you have to do over and over again, because it never ends. You always have to dig deep inside yourself in order to solve your problems, in order to become a better human being. And I think somehow we all are trying to be better human beings, or should be trying to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
And going back to the first answer, I think that both art and spirituality, they help us and to show, not to show, but they help us to enlarge our borders, our concepts about what is to be alive, what is possible in terms of language, in terms of living.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a question about the cave scene coming up, so a good follow-on from what you were saying. Again, that was absolutely striking, that beginning. that beginning shot, and it's her, you know, entering the journey and kind of us with her. And I was intrigued that at the end, it ended there as well. There was kind of that, you know, an echo or a cyclical coming back to that. What I found interesting, that while she went through, she narrated, you know, I'm kind of retracting a bit from public life to kind of go on this journey. First of all, you answered this. How did you know that was going to be the beginning and the end? And was that a literal message from Abramovich telling us, I'm going to back off a bit in search of myself?
Yeah, look, when Marina started the trip, she was in search of healing for emotional wounds and in search of new ideas for new works.
Yes.
But she didn't know what
where it would take her.
Where this journey would take her emotionally and professionally. And when we did this shot in the cave, we didn't have this audio, the voiceover. But what's funny is that we also shot the end of the cave. Marina coming out of the cave, and it was a huge, like a ladder, natural path that goes up and ended in a light. And I shot this, and I thought, oh, maybe this is the ending. But the first time I put in the editing, I said, no, it doesn't work. Because it seems that she reached some enlightenment or some, and in fact, this journey, you have to take it over and over. It doesn't end. You always have to go back into darkness.
Yes.
And so after the first, Marina went to Brazil 3 times. During the time the time frame we did the movie, we shot the movie. The first time we traveled for 40 days in 2012 to 2013, and a year later she came back and we shot the part of Curitiba. And during this trip, the producers of the film, Jasmine Pinho and Minon Pinho, suggested to Marina to produce a show, an exhibition in São Paulo at Sesc Pompeia, and that this would be a great wrap-up for her experience in Brazil. And it was a way to give back what she learned and what she experienced in our country. And she loved the idea, embraced the idea. So 1 year later, we shot the exhibition in São Paulo. And at that time, she had clear, because it took her 2 to 3 years to realize how this experience, how she could use this experience in her work.
And it was very fascinating to see that end result, I think, and the way she was talking about art and how we need it within cities and in our daily life. So that was a great sort of little wrap up to that.
And I think it's very generous of her to you see, in the Artist's Present, she was seated, there was a table and another seat, and people come sit and look at her like she was, some people complain about like she's an idol or something. Here in 512 Hours, that was the first work of hers after the trip here in London. She removed the seats, she removed the table. She was one of us. She was living the experience, the performance. Everybody in who took part in 512 Hours, there was these 3 rooms with people standing, slow walking, people seated, and people lay down in beds. And Marina could be in any of these places, and she could be sleeping, she could be seated, and she was one of us. After that, she did Generator in New York, where she, in the space of the gallery, people would have their eyes blindfolded and have sound blockers, yeah, sound blockers. And they would stay in the gallery for the time they wanted. And Marina could be there or not.
Yes.
And in São Paulo, Marina wasn't there, not for the performance. She was there for lectures, she was there for presenting the Brazilian performers, and or just wandering around the space, but she wasn't in the space of the method. And this is a way that a dematerialization process of her work, of this stepping back. But this happened, she realized this.
Yes.
It took her 2 years to realize it, and so we could do these voiceovers.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Talking of Marina and her artistry, what struck me as well about this film was the level of honesty that she presented, and in many levels. So emotionally, physically, she literally stripped herself bare for us. And not only that, she went into quite personal episodes of her life, so her childhood with her mother or her ex-husband. So she was very, very honest. What was it like? I know that you have met her before and worked with her, you know, going to her exhibitions, like you say. What was it like working with her on that level? And how was it to sort of collaborate creatively with an artist like her?
Well, she's very generous. She's generous with her work, with her ideas, and with her life. I think her life is, his work is based in exposing herself and being honest and being also humble in a certain level. And it's funny to talk about this because she became such a superstar, and sometimes it's unexpected to use those adjectives to Marina. But yeah, she is really, really generous. And I think documentary is the best vehicle for generosity, because we're sharing what is our biggest treasure, that is our experience, our memories, our choices, our mistakes, but our life.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And there got to a point in the film where I was looking at Marina, and there would obviously be these wonderful stylized shots and her as an artist. But some of the shots, like her doing the ritual and her not being able to break, you know, her egg because of the negativity, and I thought, this is a person where really you could say she is just a human being looking for an answer like all the rest of us when we have a heartbreak or when we have a difficult time in our life. And that was so wonderful to watch, like you say, her being so generous in that way. Just seeing her as a human being.
A feedback that we have from the audience, many people say, wow, in that scene I thought, I need to break my eggs. A lot of people say this. I need to break my eggs.
Absolutely. In the film, Marina, at the end, she describes art's function as a bridge between peoples of all races, beliefs, all of that. And I do think that this film does that, in the sense that when we're watching, like you said, no matter what, if you don't believe in it, there is that common thread of us as a human being. We're all just looking. We're just looking for love, for comfort, for something. What would be your definition of art's purpose, or within the realm which you use art as a director?
I think art helps us to enlarge our vision of what life is. The way we have to express ourselves is through language. And art is always questioning the borders, the laws, what is right and what is wrong. And it's always transcending those concepts and rewriting and expressing it through language.
Yes.
That is the way that we communicate.
Yes. You have mentioned that Marina's very collaborative, and this project was very collaborative. Do you feel, in a sense, because the audience does feel so close to this film, or to Marina, or to the concepts and messages. Do you feel like you collaborated with the audience as a whole when doing this project?
This film has a strange thing in it. Because, look, there are people, the people that can't relate with the film. Look, not everybody loves it. There are people that really think it's stupid, those spiritual things, and okay, no problem. It's their way of seeing the world. But the part of the audience that really connects with the movie, and amongst them, I'm including people that can't connect with Marina. But when they see the movie and embark in the journey, they find something. Even and when I mean they find some, they find more questions. And there's a guy in Italy who wrote a critic. Oh, in the beginning he says a lot of hard things about Marina, how he doesn't like Marina, how he thinks Marina is an egocentric, and then he says, but there's something in this movie. It's really interesting, because it makes us question things about what is life, what is to be alive. Is there something beyond, something that we don't see? And I think that it's really nice to see if you go, if you allow yourself to go through prejudice and just watch, maybe there's something for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like you were saying, if you stripped the, let's say, Marina element of the film, just in the interviews with, you know, the people, like we were saying, the people from the public, let's say, of Brazil, there is some level which, as a human and emotionally, you can relate to this film. And I think she put it very well at the end, which is, we are all, in a way, we can be mirrors of each other. And she is saying, I'm the mirror of the public and they are of me. And I think that's what moved me in some of the speeches, because you can connect to something they're saying.
Yeah, well, there's a friend of mine, a great director, documentarist, Carlos Nader from Brazil, and he told me, look, this movie is about ritual. You have the ritual of performance, the ritual, the spiritual ritual, and also the ritual of cinema. Because cinema, going to a movie theater is a ritual. Making a movie is a ritual. Entering in spaces with a camera is a ritual. So I think that the movie works as a ritual for the audience also.
Yes.
In this level.
You may have answered this in the previous question, but how important, as a director, do you feel these types of films are for the film industry and for this new generation, which is supposedly meant to be a bit more open-minded and open to receiving?
Well, I think in this moment it's very important, because we are living in such a time of intolerance, of prejudice. And I think we have to take care, because we are becoming narrow-minded. And in the moment that we put all the energy blaming others and creating monsters, enemies, and not dealing with, because it's very easy to point enemies outside of yourself.
Yes.
Because then you're the hero. And if you're a hero, you're flawless. You don't have to look at your own limitations and at your problems and, you know, your shadow.
Which is someone not living in reality.
And I think at this moment, and another thing, spirituality in the way that we are approaching in this movie, there are not many movies that deal with this. In fact, two of the most, the movies that I enjoyed the most this year were the Embrace of the Snake, that deals with this, and The Witch, that also deals with this. They are amazing movies. So I think there's space in cinema to deal with this. A lot of space.
Yeah, absolutely, and a need perhaps.
Yeah.
That further.
Yeah. This we've been having a really good response from the audience. In Brazil, the movie is in theaters for 5 months, 22 weeks is really something. In Italy, we had a lot. Inside a specific festival, and this is a wise way. They're trying new ways of distributing movies. They have a festival that they release every month one title, and they screened it in 200 cinemas all over Italy on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. The days that are you have lower number of people attending to the theaters, and it was really good. Both were really good. I think there's a lack of films treating this theme, approaching this universe.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Did you feel any responsibility or put any on yourself when dealing with your own culture in Brazil, and for example portrayal of the people or traditions?
Of course. I always put myself in a respectable position. I respect all those places that I went to. Otherwise, don't fool yourself. I wouldn't even be able to shoot anything. We only shot all what is in the screen because we respected those places. And Marina she doesn't have any prejudice at all.
Yes, absolutely, and I think that was really visible in the film. I thought it was represented beautifully, and not only represented, it sort of brought out the most beautiful within those rituals, I thought, and even within the imagery, if Brazil could get more beautiful.
And I was really touched with the opportunity to show a Brazilian treasure that we have, and that most Brazilians don't even know that we have.
Absolutely, which is the most broad mix of people and traditions and beliefs within Brazil.
Yeah, and this is just a tiny part of what we have there.
Absolutely. So I think it's incredible that globally, obviously people have the chance now to research, but this film will show that perhaps, and people will be saying, "Is that really still in Brazil?"
Yeah.
Because it's such a, it's such a diverse kind of person that you're dealing with, and like you said, it was mostly, I guess, you're dealing with central and northeast. Am I correct? And a bit of the south.
Yeah.
So you didn't even touch on, all of the sort of ancestral, the German migrants and all of that we also have. So as you said, it's very, very diverse. But I thought it brought out sort of the best, not only visually but within the message of the film as well.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
And so my last question is, in the beginning of the film, Marina talks about her belief that she was brought on Earth for a purpose, and she feels she is doing that. Now, if you believe in such things and in that statement, what do you feel you were brought on Earth, and what is your purpose?
My purpose? This is the big question. This is the big question. I'm still learning. I'm still learning. It's always to learn and to be flexible and to... I had this idea that I wanted to be like a tree. Because there's a wisdom in nature. There's an intelligence that rules life. And somehow we have this brain, this machine of thoughts that if it's misused, just avoids us to be who we are. But it also is part of who we are.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, as a tree, like you said, you're always learning. You've got your roots very deep down, and you're always absorbing from the earth. So that's great.
Yeah, and looking through the sky.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much. I've really enjoyed this talk, and I gleaned a lot from it. So thank you.
Yeah, I enjoyed also. Thank you.